So I've been testing this 15-inch 4K portable monitor, the QQH Z12-4, with everything from my ROG Strix G16, the Switch 2, and even my PS5. It claims to give you a true 4K experience anywhere you go in a body that's thinner than most laptops. But does gaming at 4K on a portable screen actually make sense, or is it just a fancy spec sheet? This video is sponsored by QQH, who sent over the Z12-4 for testing. As always, no review notes were provided and all thoughts are my own. Right away, the design stands out. The CNC machined aluminum chassis with that brushed metal back actually feels premium, not like the usual plastic portable displays. It's super thin at just 0.3 inches, weighs about 1.5 pounds, and the build has this curved edge that makes it feel more like a mini MacBook screen than a cheap accessory. You get two full-function USB-C ports and one mini HDMI input, so you can connect anything basically from a laptop to consoles, even phones that support video out. I do wish it had a full-size HDMI port though, since the mini HDMI cable isn't as common and feels a bit fragile. There's also a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is rare to see on portable monitors these days. There's no drivers, there's no setup, and literally it's just plug and play. The smart cover it comes with doubles as a stand as well. It's magnetic and water resistant, and it works fine on a desk, though it's not super sturdy if you're using it on your lap. It doesn't clip onto the monitor actually, so it can come loose if it's bumped, but it still does the job if you're careful. Inside the box you get everything you actually need. A USB-C to USB-C cable, a USB-A to USB-C cable for power, a mini HDMI to HDMI cable, and a power adapter. The packaging itself feels premium too. Everything's neatly padded, so it actually arrives protected, which isn't always the case with portable monitors or even just monitors off Amazon in general. The display itself is a 15.6-inch IPS 4K panel running at 3840 by 2160. It's rated for around 400 nits of peak brightness, about 350 to 360 typical, has HDR support, and uses an 8 milliseconds response time. It also covers 100% of the sRGB color gamut and has a 1200 to 1 contrast ratio. On paper, this is a legit UHD panel, not just upscaled 4K. And when you fire it up, it looks great. Text is super crisp, color reproduction is punchy, and because it's a small 15-inch screen, that pixel density is about 282 ppi, which is crazy sharp. Now let's talk gaming, because that's exactly where I wanted to test this, since this is how I'd personally be using it. On the laptop, 4K gaming looks incredible. The detail and clarity stand out right away, and visuals do feel cinematic. But the 60Hz refresh rate is a clear limitation if you're used to high refresh rate displays. Movement isn't as smooth, and you can feel that the difference in fast-paced or competitive games. For single-player or visually driven titles though, it is impressive and looks premium. With the Switch 2, the pairing makes perfect sense. Most games already target 60Hz, and since the system's library leans heavily towards single-player or casual experiences, it feels right at home. The screen sharpness and color depth elevate the visuals, and the portable size makes it a great companion setup for travel or docked handheld gaming. For the PS5, it really depends on the game. Some emphasize frame rate, while others focus on resolution and HDR. In both cases, this monitor performs well. The 4K output looks crisp, and overall image clarity is excellent. Even without a high refresh rate, console gaming feels consistent since most titles are capped at 60Hz anyways. One thing that really surprised me was the color quality. The monitor covers 100% of the sRGB spectrum and supports 16.7 million colors, so everything looks vibrant but still accurate. The viewing angles are solid too. I can shift left or right, and the brightness drop off is minimal. It's not meant for color grading obviously, but for gaming, media, or even just like editing thumbnails, it's genuinely impressive for the price. I also noticed the color temperature being a little bit cooler right out of the box, but you can tweak that with the on-screen menu if you prefer a warmer look. For the laptop, I just used a single USB-C cable for video and power, and for the PS5 and Switch, HDMI plus USB-C for power worked perfectly. It automatically switches sources and even remembered my brightness and color settings between devices, which is really nice. The built-in speakers are rated at 1 watt each, and they're fine for basic use but not much else. They get decently loud, but there's almost very little bass and almost no depth to the sound. You'll definitely want to use headphones or external speakers if you're gaming or watching movies. The on-screen display menu is surprisingly decent. You can adjust brightness, contrast, sharpness, color temperature, and even enable dynamic contrast or HDR from there. It also has picture presets like standard, game, movie, and text, and I personally left it on standard most of the time since HDR automatically disables some of the manual controls. Navigation is done with physical buttons instead of a joystick, which I actually prefer since it's more accurate. The aluminum frame feels solid but lightweight. I've tossed it in my backpack a few times and it's held up great. The only thing I'd be cautious about is the magnetic case, as it only really protects the screen but not the corners, so if you're traveling often, a dedicated sleeve or hard shell might be worth it. Overall, the Z12-4 delivers a clean, sharp, and detailed 4K experience across all platforms. Input delay is minimal minimal even though the panel has an 8 millisecond response time, motion handling is smooth for its refresh rate, and colors remain pretty accurate. Now, a few things to keep in mind: the 60Hz refresh rate limits it for competitive gaming. The included speakers are weak, fine for, basic YouTube videos maybe, but not immersive. And while HDR works, it's not a huge difference. Think slightly richer contrast, not true HDR. Still, for what it's trying to be, a sharp, portable 4K display, those aren't the biggest deal breakers. But is gaming on a 4K portable monitor worth it? If you're chasing high FPS competitive gameplay, not really. You'd be better off with a 1080p 144Hz portable monitor. But if you care about image quality, versatility, and portability, this is one of the nicest portable displays I've tested. It is quite expensive compared to lower resolution options, but the 4K resolution naturally drives that price up while still being impressively portable. The QQH Z12-4 gives you that desktop level clarity anywhere, whether you're plugging into a console, gaming laptop, or even a handheld. Thanks again to QQH for sponsoring this video, and all the links will be in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.